Good morning and welcome back to Almus Market Mornings. Speeches are constantly used by central bankers to guide policy, and that's why today's speech by Chair Powell will be a much anticipated one by markets. There has been expectations of a series of rate cuts starting September, and this was accelerated after the NFP revisions and a few weeks back. But since then, we are seeing some more tapering in expectations, especially after the stronger PMIs and a few Fed member speeches indicating caution. Good morning, Pankaj. Great to have you back. What are your expectations from rates, and what do you think of the recent rally in Indian yields?
Uh, Good morning, everyone. Let's start with Jerome Powell and the famous place, Jackson Hole. Today, Jerome Powell is expected to deliver, I think, probably the last keynote address. Market anticipating. Even Trump wants him to continue, he won't be continuing. Anyways, Trump also doesn't want him to continue. So this is going to be his last keynote address at the central bank's annual conclave. The speech is built as an economic outlook and framework review, indicating Powell will take time to provide his views on a broad conditions as well as discuss the Fed's long-term policy goals. That's the set area or set topic, but I'm sure he will be providing few snippets or maybe few words on expectations of a coming rate cuts. And what probably at stake is a near-term sentiment for financial market, the longer-term path of the Fed's policy trajectory. And it's not I would say that important to look at how he handles how his speech is being formatted to handle the near-term in last few days criticism on Fed. So we'll be watchful for that. Uh, my expectation, or maybe I would say the Almus expectation, probably he will stick to his wait and watch stance. So the probabilities which was showing 100% almost post NFP data, now it's around 75%. Today's speech may act as a binary. The probabilities might either move below 50 or maybe moving closer to 100. So we would be looking forward for that speech. The speech is at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. Dollar weakness also seemed countered by, despite all talk of a diversification, the foreign holding of a US treasuries have been hitting new high. Data also says that dollar hedging, which was hedging against the dollar fall on equity portfolios, that has been also on a decline. Market has broadly discounted Fed cut, which might change. It looks like September might be pushed. If the Powell speech is on a wait and watch, September might push to the December. Let's see how it moves. Few Fed members have been saying that the inflation is stronger and labor conditions are also not very weak. So even if we cut rates, these will be premature. Recent rally in Europe also hurting the European markets, and that it probably may delay the interest rate cut. Let's see how it happens. Rupee has been recent few days. Rupee was on a stronger path. It moved from a closer to 87.70 to 86.90, 95 area. Then we saw sudden buying yesterday. We are back above 87, 87.20. Today is expected to open above 87.30. And why the rupee weakened yesterday and look like slightly more today is the dollar strength. There was a IPO flows which have been now absorbed by the PSU banks, and there's a demand from oil companies. So all these led to a rupee weakness again. I would also share before that probably I will establish a kind of a broad range for 86.80 and 87.80 for dollar rupee for a couple of weeks. I will be highlighting a few other developments which are happening across the globe and in the Indian market. One is the impact of Trump is strengthening other alliances such as BRICS. What we saw yesterday, a very important development. French President Macron spoke to PM Modi, and the topic of the discussion was how they can coordinate their position on important subjects such as Ukraine, peace in Europe, and partnership in trade issues. So that's important. European counterparts, which are generally closer to US, they were supporting Ukraine. Uh, the global axis probably is shifting towards more toward Asia and Europe, looking at the stance which have been taken by Mr. Trump. India is completing 10 years of a flexible inflation targeting. I would say that this flexible inflation targeting framework has really worked in Indian favor. Earlier, we used to see inflation generally moving around between 6 to 8%. It was 5 to 8%. It has never been targeted the way it has been targeted in last 10 years. What happened is, the RBI has released a discussion paper yesterday on this flexible inflation targeting or review of a monetary policy framework. RBI is asking questions or feedback whether RBI should be or MPC should be or a monetary policy framework should be targeting headline inflation or core inflation for the conduct of a monetary policy, since weightage in the CPI basket keep changing. They're also asking whether the 4% inflation target continues to remain optimal, or we should be looking at something else. They're also asking, the question is being asked is whether the tolerance band around the target, 4% plus minus 2%, whether this should be narrowed or widened. And then the final question, which in the monetary policy review framework is whether the target inflation should be removed and only range should be maintained. So yes, these are the questions all market participants would be giving a feedback on this. Now coming to the market prices, in a sense that where the markets are, overnight a dollar have been stronger. Euro moved from a 1.1650 to closer to 1.1610. Gold has been trading around 33.30. Bond yields yesterday post PMI data have moved higher by 3-4 basis in US. All of these market developments would be waiting for what Powell speak about. Thank you. It's a Friday. We'll be coming back on sharing our thoughts and views on Monday. That's all from me, Swaraj.
Thank you, Pankaj. Pankaj, just a question to you. Recently, we have seen Indian yields also move higher, especially we have seen the 10-year also move higher by, I think, 30-40 basis point. What are your expectations? Are we going to see more rate cuts by RBI, or what is your thinking on that front? A little bit more on the spontaneous side, but I wanted an answer for that.
So, Swaraj, basically, the way markets and probably the RBI is also behaving, and last a couple of speech and even the basically the last two policy decision where RBI cut rates by 50 basis point and increased the liquidity. Last policy, they have not moved on anything, but they indicated liquidity would be there. So, whether RBI, the current RBI setup, is looking for a GSEC yield, or they are looking for a broad transmission of a monetary policy or liquidity to pass on to the corporates. So I think that transition phase is going on. If RBI see that the lower cost benefits are not being passed on to the corporates, and probably bank is shying away from that, there might be further rate cuts. But as of now, I believe for a couple of, even if September rate cut doesn't happen by RBI, by Fed, then probably we will not be seeing a rate cut in October and December. Even the inflation is lower. What I'm perceiving, the current setup of RBI is looking for a lower cost for a corporates, and they can set up, I think, business processes or infrastructure or the manufacturing facilities to grow. Till that point of a time, if the basically, to put in a one word, if the benefits are not being passed on to the corporates, RBI will be cutting rates, but RBI would be first trying and nudging banks to pass on these liquidity benefits and the rate cuts to the corporates. If that doesn't happen, RBI intention is to lower the cost of the funds to the corporates. And in that sense, maybe RBI cut further rates. But the important thing to watch it, further cutting RBI rates, rate cuts by RBI would put pressure on INR as well. So they have to balance both of it. Yeah, that's my thought.
Got it, Pankaj. Thank you so much. And yeah, so I think all of us would now be looking forward to the Jackson Hole Summit. And as Pankaj mentioned, there is a real possibility that we may see a wait and watch kind of approach in the speech by Jerome Powell, and September cut may be pushed to December. That's also a possibility. Otherwise, yeah, broadly, President Trump's actions has resulted in strength in other alliances. Pankaj mentioned about the conversation between President Macron and PM Modi. They held conversation on trade and AI. But even surprisingly, China has come in support. Yesterday, one of their ministries has released a statement calling for the unfair trade sort of bullying by the US, and China has come in support for India. So yeah, a lot of things to look forward to. That's it from us today. Have a good, very good weekend. We'll catch up on Monday with the fresh round of updates.